This is the story of Altis in 1974. The communist takeover, the resulting naval battles between NATO and Warsaw Pact forces, and its eventual recapture by the British. The islands that would become the Republic of Altis and Stratis have known conflict from the early 20th century until modern times. Historians of Altis and Stratis tend to focus on events on land. But locals know they live on islands. They are surrounded and their lives are dominated by thalassa, the sea. And they know that control of the islands inevitably falls to those who exercise thalassocratia, sea power. The NATO quarantine of Altis and Stratis has unexpected effects on the Kavala fishing fleet. Furnos Bay, 15 August 1974, 0230 hours. A man on horseback is silhouetted against the night sky. The gentle clip-clop of horses' hooves breaks the silence. Off in the distance, Furnos Bay, its waters catching the reflection of a full moon. The man looks over the bay. He is heading to a rendezvous. Once a pillar of society, the mask over his face now gives him the air of a dangerous desperado. He is in company with another man and 3 spare horses. They set off down the slope, towards the lighted building. Sensors heightened, they approach the building. All is quiet. Situated to the southwest of the island of Altis, the area around Furnos Bay is deserted at the best of times. And these are not the best of times. The man dismounts. Moments later, horses grazing, the man looks out expectantly across the bay. Sometime later, Captain Miller of the Royal Marines and his troop sergeant arrive at Furnos Bay in a stolen police launch. Its lights flashing to confuse any Soviet ships on patrol. Up ahead, the rendezvous point. Miller brings in the boat quietly and slowly. He can see figures near the house with the lights. And horses. Wait here while I go ahead, he quietly commands. He slings his rifle over his shoulder, presenting no threat that could be misinterpreted in the darkness. Miller cheerily greets the masked man.
I see you brought transport.
Well, E26 young Miller. I have not seen you on Altas since your father was posted here. Last I remember, you were riding horses and chasing girls.
Or was it chasing horses? And...
That too. I am glad to see you back on Altas. A lot has happened. We could use a friend.
So could I. What news in Kavala?
After the Kavala horse evacuated, the KKS moved in. They have Soviet advisors, and weapons and equipment.
So I've heard.
These are dark times, reprisals, shootings, and no sign of the British. Until now, of course. Why are you here?
I want to get into Kavala, lay low, and have a look around. Get a sense of their strength, equipment, and so on.
We still have friends in Kavala, but it is very dangerous. Move only at night.
Of course. My troop sergeant and I will set up an observation post overlooking the port. But we will want to move each night. And we may not be staying long.
The port. Aye. Do you know the British announced a blockade? It was on the All Aegean News World Service, and the fishing fleet saw a destroyer on the horizon. Rumor has it they are refusing to go out again. It is likely to annoy the KKS, not to mention the Soviets.
We are grateful for your help.
Anything that we gon' do to take back Altas from the KKS. We have enough food, but we do not have many weapons, and could use a resupply. Also, ammunition.
Yes, I'm working on that. Now, unless I'm mistaken, is that Buttercup?
Yes, your favorite. I know it was you when I received the call. No one else on Altas would order fish for a party.
Jolly good. Let's get going to Kavala then.
Almost exactly 1 day earlier, and 2 ships of Her Majesty's Royal Navy sail northwest of Crete. HMS Amazon, F169, a new Type 21 destroyer commissioned only 3 months ago. And HMS Bulwark, RO8, a Hermes-class light fleet aircraft carrier, converted into a commando carrier and equipped with Wessex helicopters. Fresh from repairs at Devonport Dockyard, she has been ordered into the Med to support contingencies around Cyprus. But her captain, Johnny Johnston, has received orders that have kept her sailing a pattern north of Crete. Well to the north of the Bulwark Group, HMS Matapan, a battle-class destroyer. Her orders are to enforce a quarantine of Altis and Stratis. She steams past Mount Athos in the early morning gloom. Her patrol zone will take her north of Altis to monitor the Dardanelles and the entrance to the North Aegean. Early morning, and the boats of the Kavala fishing fleet already hours into their labours. Bringing in the daily catch. The lights of Kavala and home across the water. The pre-dawn gloom sees a pair of aircraft moving to the runway of Chania International Airport on the Greek island of Crete. Lead is Badger 11, aircraft 320. The aircraft are Blackburn Buccaneers, from the Royal Navy's Fleet Air Arm.
ENCON, secure all emitters, radar high.
The pilots check to ensure radars are switched off. They will acquire targets by visual means only. These aircraft are from 809 Naval Air Squadron, normally assigned to the Ark Royal. They have flown from RAF Honington in the United Kingdom out to Crete to provide fighter cover in the Aegean. The dawn's early light reflects in the aircraft's canopy. The aircraft is a 2-seater. 63 feet long with a wingspan of 44 feet, the Buccaneer has a range of 2,000 miles and can fly at up to 580 knots, around Mach 0.95. Badger 11 prepares for takeoff. Wings fold down. Nose cone in position. Canopy closed. off to port, Badger 1-2, airframe 321, also prepares for takeoff. Final pre-flight checks. Call the tower for clearance. Engine run-up. Release brakes. 2 Rolls-Royce Spade turbofan engines generate 11,000 pounds thrust. And the aircraft takes off. Gear up. Badger 1-1 in lead, rolls to starboard. Badger 1-2 in trail, moves into position. The aircraft head east to their patrol position. The rising sun is low on the horizon when the Buccaneers make their first visual identification. A familiar sight. A flat top. A British flat top. HMS Bulwark, with HMS Amazon in company. Bulwark's landing lights wink a comforting green. The Buccaneers continue on course. Sometime later, and further east, the Buccaneers roll to port and transit north into the Aegean.
Track 7037 is classified. Neutral warship. Track 7038 is classified. Neutral warship.
Shortly afterwards, they contact the Soviet vessels. Lead looks out the port window. To stern, an Alligator-class landing ship tank. Some cargo on the deck, but hard to make out. Ahead, a Soviet frigate, NATO reporting name Kashin. Just like the pre-flight briefing. The Soviet sailors on the Kashin watch the British aircraft fly off into the distance. The crew on the Tapir-class Project 1171 also watch the aircraft depart. Sometime later, the Buccaneers overfly the Hellenic ship Panthea. In its patrol box, but steaming west. The lookouts on Panthea watch the British aircraft fly overhead and depart astern. The Greek sailors have no idea their government agreed for them to intercept the Soviets to their east. They are in fact heading in the wrong direction for an intercept. The Buccaneers contact the Soviet ships again on their way back to base. Comparing two contacts at different times will help them estimate course and speed. The crew of the Kashin watch impassively as the British aircraft return. The contact will of course be noted in their log. But these things happen all the time, and the countries are not at war. Not yet, at least. The Buccaneers pass down the port side of the ship. A convenient and spectacular navigation waypoint for their return to Crete. The Greek island of Santorini, in the Cyclades, formed in the caldera of an ancient volcano that erupted almost 4,000 years ago. The pilot can pick out individual houses in the towns of Fira to port and Oya to starboard, in spectacular whites and blues. The pilot speculates at the sheer power of a volcano able to eject solid rock and molten lava from this entire area into the sky. Inconceivable power beyond the grasp of humanity. Until the nuclear age. Mission complete, the Buccaneers return to base in Crete. Overfly Suda Bay Naval Base. Once an important hub of British sea power in the Med. And the antenna of Malaxa Communication Station to starboard in the hills. Badger 1-1 comes into land. Gear down, and landing flaps. Crosses the threshold. The shadows of both aircraft landing in formation. And touchdown. A long landing roll. The luxury of no arrestor wire. The pilots will report the Alligator and Kashin heading north in company. Possible violation of the quarantine. And the Panthea steaming west away from the Soviets. Around midday, an HMS Matapan has reached her patrol position at the mouth of the Dardanelles Strait. "60 years ago, the Royal Navy unsuccessfully tried to force this passage from the Aegean Sea to Istanbul then the capital of the Ottoman Empire. Her captain looks out over the scene of the Dardanelles campaign. Europe to his left, Asia Minor to his right. Early afternoon, and the Buccaneers' report reaches NATO naval headquarters at Northwood on the outskirts of London. The operations watchkeeper looks quizzically at the large chart on the wall as it is being updated with the latest information. Isn't Panthea supposed to be heading east, he asks, to intercept the Soviet vessels before they enter the quarantine zone? He places a call to Brussels, which triggers another call to Athens. The Greek official on the other end of the phone call is very apologetic. "Terribly sorry," he says. "We only just found out ourselves. Yes, engine trouble. We're not sure how long. We can check with the captain." Aboard Panthea, the crew are none the wiser as to their supposed mission. But a radio call from Greek naval headquarters in Piraeus changes all that. "Hello, Panthea?" The voice is crackly with static. "When will your engine trouble be fixed?" "Not sure," the captain replies. He's confused. His engine is fine. The bridge crew look at each other, shake their heads, and shrug. But the voice over the radio is insistent. "We need to know when you'll be ready to intercept the Soviet ships to your east, challenging the quarantine around Altis." Suddenly, the captain understands. He reads between the lines. "Come to starboard, course 090, he orders. He keys the radio again. "At least 24 hours, the captain shouts. "Possibly longer. I will get the chief engineer to report." "Very good," responds the crackling voice. "Keep us informed. Out."
Ahead 1/3. I'll stop. Maneuvering aye.
"All stop," the captain orders. He looks around the bridge. "The engine is broken," he announces, a little too dramatically. "I will be in the wardroom." By late afternoon, HMS Matapan has returned from the Turkish coast and is now off northwest Altis. The ship proceeds down the west coast of Altis off Kavala. The little fishing vessels from the Kavala fishing fleet are the only ships or boats Matapan has seen that day. The quarantine is working. But perhaps too well. The fishermen all stop their work to look at the British destroyer, looming menacingly on the horizon. Its presence sends a strong signal. The fishermen had all heard about the quarantine on the radio, and it looks like the British mean to enforce it. Around 1600 hours, or late afternoon local time, the second patrol of buccaneers contacts the Soviet ships again. Now, they are northwest of Ikaria. The ships are still steaming north towards the quarantine zone. They could be proceeding to the Dardanelles and back to the Soviet Union. Or to Altis. A further 20 minutes into the patrol, and the buccaneers overfly the Hellenic ship Panthea. Now heading east, but drifting. Possible engine trouble. The buccaneers turn and make another low pass down the starboard side. The Greek sailors watch as the aircraft fly over. The morning's flight was no coincidence. The captain now knows he is being watched. By his allies, no less. By the time the Buccaneer patrol returns to Chania, it is already late afternoon. The aircraft land, taxi to their hard stands, and the aircrew complete their post-flight checks and aircraft handover procedures. Then, they are sent to the mess for dinner before it closes. After dinner, they sit in the operations room and debrief their patrol reports over cups of tea. The pilots report their additional sightings of the Kashin and the alligator, noting their positions. Their courses and speeds are calculated and compared with the morning's results. The report is carefully noted down, then typed in duplicate, then a distribution copy prepared for transmission to Northwood headquarters. All of which takes time. So, by the time the report reaches Northwood, is written down and is sent to the watch floor, the day shift has ended and the night shift is beginning. With the focus on Cyprus, the significance of the report is initially overlooked, and no action will be taken until early the next morning. Next morning, 15 August 1974, a little over 4 hours after the rendezvous at Furnos Bay, and Miller and his troop sergeant are in an observation post overlooking Kavala port. Rumour is that most of the fishing fleet fled to Thessaloniki late yesterday after spotting a British destroyer and forcing the quarantine. The remainder are refusing to sail again. On the wharf, a confrontation between a Soviet advisor and his KKAS henchmen and a group of fishermen. Miller hears raised voices from the direction of the wharf. He looks through his binoculars. The fishing vessels are in port, and a situation is developing. It looks like a Soviet advisor is holding the fishermen at gunpoint. He has a masked KKAS man next to him, probably interpreting. The man in the red check sweater looks like the leader. He stares impassively at the armed men. The Soviet advisor shouts at red sweater man. The KKAS man shouts the translation. The Soviet advisor shouts again. The KKAS man repeats the demand. A look of contempt flashes across Red Sweater Man's face. He shakes his head. Whatever the question, he has just refused. He turns to walk away. Shots ring out, and Red Sweater Man falls to the ground, dead. More shots. Miller shifts position. The Soviet advisor is standing over another fisherman in a blue sweater. Another shot, and he too falls dead. "My God," Miller says quietly. "Those people are British subjects. This changes everything." He looks over at his troop sergeant. "We need to report this, fast. We move tonight. Back to the safe house." In the next episode, with the seas around Altis and Stratis closed, the Soviets find new ways to support the KKAS. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. And stay tuned for the next episode.